You feel it, even if you pretend you don't. That quiet pull in the way she looks at you. That shift in her tone. That silence that feels heavier than any answer. A force you were never taught to understand. At first you think it's simple. Attraction, chemistry, emotion. But something inside you knows there is more, something older, something hidden. You were raised to believe women love with purity, with softness, with honesty. You were raised to believe their desire is gentle, predictable, safe. But your experience tells a different story. You have seen her lose interest without warning. You have seen her pull away when you gave her everything. You have felt her test you, challenge you. Not with words, with silence and distance. And every time it happened, you wondered why, what you did wrong, what she wanted, why the truth felt just out of reach. The truth is this. You were never taught how female desire really works. Not by your parents, not by society, not by the world that wanted you obedient, predictable, easy to manage. But one man understood it long before anyone else. A man who studied human nature without fear. A man who saw the hidden rules beneath every choice. A man who understood the strategies people use even without knowing. Machiavelli. He saw the pattern behind her affection. He saw the calculation behind her sweetness. He saw the instinct behind her silence. He saw what you were never meant to see. And now, you are about to understand the 7 secrets women never admit. The 7 forces that shape their desire. The 7 truths that will change how you see everything, starting now. You have always sensed it. That strange divide between what she says and what she responds to. The surface looks gentle, clear, honest. But something beneath it moves in a rhythm you were never taught to read. A woman can tell you she wants stability. She can say she wants kindness. She can insist she wants a man who is open, predictable, transparent, and in the very same breath, she can ignore the man who offers her everything she claims to desire. You have watched this happen, more than once, more than you want to admit, and every time, you told yourself she was confused, or emotional, or complicated, but the truth is far simpler. She lives with 2 minds, one she understands, and one she cannot control. The first mind is conscious. It speaks the language of society, of morality, of expectations. It tells her what she is supposed to want, what she must say, what keeps her image intact. The second mind is older, darker, buried deeper than thought. It moves with instinct. It seeks what pulls at her nervous system. Not her logic, not her beliefs, not her public persona. And Machiavelli saw this centuries before anyone dared to name it. He noticed how women in the Florentine court spoke of virtue, but chased danger. He saw noble wives praise loyalty, while desiring the men who disrupted their certainty. He saw a hidden tension in their choices, a pattern repeating across families, across classes, across generations. He realized something men still struggle to accept. A woman's desire does not follow her words. It follows her instincts. It follows her assessments of power. It follows the invisible emotional current she feels around a man. She is not lying when she tells you what she wants, but she is speaking from the conscious mind, while the unconscious mind decides everything. That unconscious mind chooses the man who affects her, moves her, challenges her, creates emotional gravity she cannot ignore. This is why you can do everything right and still lose her attention, because the truth you were never taught is simple. What she says is her belief. What she chooses is her biology. And until you understand the difference, you will always misread her. There is a moment every man remembers, a moment when he gave everything and received nothing. A moment when he loved fully and became invisible. A moment when he thought devotion was the path, and learned the hard way that devotion alone creates no desire. You felt it. The more you gave, the less she valued you. The kinder you were, the faster her interest faded. the more available you became. The easier it was for her to walk away. At first you blamed yourself. You thought you were not enough, not attractive enough, not confident enough, not interesting enough. But the truth has nothing to do with your worth. It has everything to do with her psychology. The psychology she will never admit. A woman does not desire what costs her nothing. She does not long for what is always there. She does not chase what requires no effort. Her desire is awakened by tension, by uncertainty, by the feeling that she could lose you. If she does not earn you, this is not manipulation. This is instinct, old as survival itself. And Machiavelli understood it centuries ago. He observed how the attention nobles received for free was taken for granted, while the slightest sign of disinterest, the faintest hint of unpredictability, created obsession, even in women who claimed to want comfort, security, loyalty. He wrote of noble women who ignored the men who adored them and burned for the ones who withheld their presence, not out of cruelty, but because the human mind values what must be earned, not what is guaranteed. You have seen this play out in your own life. The moment you walk away, she becomes curious. The moment you stop chasing, she begins to notice. The moment your time becomes scarce, your value rises, not because you changed, but because the cost to access you changed. She desires what challenges her. She values what feels rare. She invests in what she could lose. Give freely, and you become forgettable. Make her earn your presence, and she will never take you lightly again. There is a moment in every connection when the energy shifts, when her tone changes, when something small happens, something subtle, something easy to miss, and you feel the tension rise. It might be a delayed reply, a quiet distance, a question asked in a colder way, a glance that feels heavier than before, and you tell yourself it is nothing. But deep down you know better. You are now entering the third truth. A truth most men never understand. A truth she will never confess. A truth older than logic. She is testing you. Not with intention, not with malice, not even with awareness. Her instincts do it, not her mind. A woman tests to measure the strength of your frame. She pushes not to break you, but to see if you bend. She pulls away not to punish you, but to see if you collapse. She creates tension not for cruelty, but for clarity. Because she needs to know who you are, not the version you show on your best days, but the version that emerges under pressure, the version that appears when things shift, the version that cannot be faked. Machiavelli understood this long before psychology gave it a name. He saw rulers tested the same way, not through grand battles, but through small moments, unpredictable changes, sudden silence, minor resistance, tiny questions designed to expose the truth. Women do this naturally, instinctively, without planning, without realizing, because her desire is tied to your emotional strength, not your charm, not your gifts, not your devotion. And when she feels the smallest hint of weakness, a crack in your frame, a tremble in your confidence, a rush to explain, a need to please, she pulls back. Because something inside her senses danger, not physical danger, but emotional instability. She needs a man who can stand when the moment becomes heavy, when the energy shifts, when the atmosphere tightens. If you crumble, she loses trust. If you stay calm, she feels drawn to you. This is the third secret. A woman tests not to hurt you, but to find the man who will not break. There is a point in every connection when she feels she knows you too well, when every move becomes predictable, when your intentions become obvious, when she can read you without effort, and something inside her begins to fade. This is the fourth truth, a truth men hate to accept, a truth women never admit, a truth Machiavelli saw centuries before words like psychology existed. Desire does not grow in certainty. It grows in mystery. The more she knows, The less she feels, the more you reveal. The less she imagines, the more available you are. The less she values your presence. You were raised to believe transparency is noble. Honesty is attractive. Openness builds connection. But desire does not live in clarity. Desire lives in tension, in contrast, in unanswered questions. You think telling her everything will bring her closer, but all it does is remove the imagination that fuels her attraction. You think your openness shows trust, but it removes the emotional landscape she needs to explore. You think vulnerability will make her love you, but when vulnerability becomes constant, it dissolves the polarity she feels. Machiavelli wrote that people desire what they cannot fully grasp. A leader who reveals everything loses power. A man who explains himself loses mystery. And a woman who understands you too deeply loses the spark that drew her to you. This is not about playing games. It is about allowing silence, allowing space, allowing yourself to exist without being fully available. She does not want a man she can decode in a moment. She wants a man who surprises her, not with tricks, but with depth. A man whose silence has meaning. A man whose presence has weight. A man who carries a life she cannot fully access. A man who reveals himself slowly, at his own pace, on his own terms. When she feels there is more to discover, she stays. When she feels you have given everything too fast, she withdraws. Mystery is not deception. It is power. It is presence. It is emotional altitude. And the man who understands this never becomes ordinary in her eyes. You have always wondered why good men are ignored, why loyal men are overlooked, why stable men are forgotten, while others who offer less receive more attention than they deserve. This is not a mistake. This is the fifth truth, a truth that shapes her choices, a truth she will never say out loud, a truth Machiavelli understood before anyone else. A woman does not judge you only by who you are. She judges you by how the world sees you, by how others respond to you, by the value you hold in the eyes of people around you. Private virtue does not equal desire. Social value does. You can be kind in private, respectful in private, generous in private, honest in private, but if no one else sees value in you, if no one else desires your presence, if no one else reacts to you with admiration, her instincts interpret that as a signal that you are ordinary, safe, predictable, low stakes. But when she sees other women notice you, when she sees people respect you, when she feels you belong to a world bigger than her, something lights up inside her. Something she cannot control, something ancient. Machiavelli watched this in the courts of Florence. He wrote of countesses who abandoned perfect husbands and chased men with no wealth, no title, no stability, but who had one thing the husbands lacked: attention from other women. It is not about jealousy, it is about instinct. If others want you, you must have value. If others admire you, you must have strength. If others react to you, you must be worth something. This is why the moment another woman shows interest in you, the woman who once ignored you suddenly becomes alert. The energy changes, her curiosity returns. Her attention sharpens, not because she loves you, but because her instincts recognize competition. A woman does not desire a man simply because he is good. She desires a man who is wanted, a man who carries social gravity, a man whose presence has weight beyond her. This is the fifth truth. She responds to the value the world sees in you, more than the goodness you show her in private. There is a pattern you have felt your entire life, a rhythm in the way women pull close, then drift away, then return. A wave that rises, falls, and rises again. A cycle you tried to make sense of, but could never fully understand. This is the sixth truth. The truth Machiavelli noticed long before psychology existed. The truth hidden under her reactions, her moods, her silence, her sudden warmth, her sudden distance. Women move through a shadow cycle. a hidden rhythm that guides their desire, a pattern that operates beneath thought, beneath intention, beneath anything she could explain. It begins with attraction, a spark, a pull. Something in your presence stirs her, your energy, your confidence, your mystery. Something wakes inside her and she leans in. Then comes conquest. Not yours, hers. She needs to feel she earned you, that she won you, that she reached something rare, something not freely given. After conquest comes comfort. She relaxes. She lets her guard down. She enjoys the connection. Life feels warm, simple, predictable, but comfort is also the beginning of danger. Because comfort slowly becomes routine. Routine becomes certainty. Certainty becomes boredom. Her instincts begin to whisper. Her interest begins to soften. And without warning, the cycle moves again. She pulls away, not consciously, not intentionally, but instinctively. Something in her needs to feel the tension again. Something in her needs polarity, challenge, the feeling of having something to lose. This withdrawal tests you. Just like before, and most men fail at this stage. They panic. They chase. They explain. They try to fix what was never broken. But the cycle was not asking for logic. It was asking for strength, for calm, for emotional stability, for the man who can stand firm while she moves. If you remain centered, if you stay grounded, if you keep your purpose, the cycle returns to desire, stronger, deeper, more intense. This is the shadow cycle, the hidden rhythm of her attraction, the pattern you were never taught, the pattern that explains everything. There's a truth most men never realize, a truth that shapes her desire more than beauty, more than charm, more than words. A truth she feels the moment she meets you, even if she never says it. This is the seventh truth, the final truth, the one that explains everything that came before. A woman does not want to be your whole world. She wants to enter a world that already exists. She does not want a man who revolves around her. She wants a man who revolves around purpose. She does not want a man who abandons his mission. She wants a man whose mission cannot be abandoned. She does not want a man who needs her to feel whole. She wants a man who is already complete. Because something deep in her understands a simple law. A man who has nothing greater than her will eventually lose himself. And once he loses himself, she loses attraction. You have felt this in your life, the moment you made her the center. You felt her drift, the moment you abandoned your goals. You felt her detach, the moment you sacrificed your direction. You felt her lose interest. It is not cruelty, it is instinct. Instinct older than language, older than society, older than every lie you were taught about romance. Machiavelli saw this in kings, in generals, in rulers who commanded loyalty without asking. Their value came from the world they carried, the weight of their purpose, the force of their direction. Women felt it, even from a distance, and they were drawn to it. Not to power, but to purpose. Not to status, but to direction. Not to dominance, but to certainty. When you build a life that excites you, when you move with intention, when you walk your own path, she feels it. She senses the gravity around you. She feels the pull without knowing why. And suddenly, you are not a man trying to win her. You are a man she wants to be part of. This is the seventh truth. She does not want to be your purpose. She wants to join a man who already has one. Now you see the pattern. The 7 truths you were never meant to discover. The 7 instincts you will never confess. The 7 forces that shape her desire, silently, powerfully, relentlessly. And something inside you has shifted. Not because these truths are dark, but because they are real. And once you see reality, illusion can no longer deceive you. You feel it now. That tension in the air, that awareness rising inside you. That clarity you were searching for without knowing the name for it. You understand why she pulled away, why she came back, why she tested you, why she lost interest, why she felt drawn to another man, why she hid her real desires even from herself. It was never random, never personal, never chaos. It was instinct. It was pattern. It was biology. It was psychology. It was the unseen current guiding her choices all along. Machiavelli saw it, long before anyone dared speak it. He understood that human behavior is shaped by forces we pretend do not exist, especially in desire, especially in love, especially in the hidden power between men and women. And now you see it too. But this is only the beginning. These 7 secrets open the door. They give you vision, but true power comes from what you do with it. Most men will never reach this point. Most men stay blind. Most men cling to comforting lies. Most men never ask why things happen. They only react. You are no longer one of them. If this awakens something in you, then you know what to do. Share what you learned. Write a truth you discovered. And step further into the knowledge most men will never touch. Clarity is rare. Use it before the world convinces you to forget.